Before God gives you something new, He almost always does something first that most of us misread completely. He starts making room, and here is what nobody tells you. The season where God is preparing to bless you often feels nothing like a blessing. It feels like loss. So today, I want to help you see what is really happening, because if you can recognize the signs that God is clearing space in your life, you will stop panicking during the very seasons where He is actually working the most. You will stop trying to fill with your own hands what God is intentionally keeping empty. There is a reason your life feels the way it feels right now. Let us start with something Scripture makes clear in Isaiah 43:19, where God says, "Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? I will make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert." Notice the order there. The new thing begins before you can perceive it. The way is being made while you are still standing in the wilderness. God is often most active in the seasons that look the most barren. So, let us talk about the 7 signs that God is making room for what only He can give. Number 1, things you used to hold on to suddenly lose their grip on you. There is a strange thing that happens when God is preparing to move you. The job you were comfortable in starts feeling too small. The relationships that used to feel right start feeling hollow. Most people misinterpret this. They think something is wrong with them. They think they have become ungrateful or discontented. But often this is God loosening your grip because you will not reach for something new while you are still clinging to something old. In John 15, Jesus describes the Father as a gardener who prunes the branch, not because it is bad, but so it can bear more fruit. Pruning always looks like loss before it produces growth. When you feel God gently prying your fingers off of something you have held for years, do not assume you are backsliding. Sometimes that loosening is the first sign that your hands are being emptied to receive. Number 2, God removes people, and He does not replace them right away. This one is painful, so let us be honest about it. Sometimes God makes room by allowing certain people to. A friendship fades. A relationship ends. A circle you were part of quietly dissolves. And what makes it confusing is the silence that follows. God removes, but He does not immediately fill the space, and that emptiness can feel like punishment. But look at how God worked in the life of Abraham. Before God could build a new nation through him, He first said in Genesis 12, "Go from your country, your people, and your father's household to the land I will show you." The subtraction came before the addition. Here is what you need to understand. Not everyone can go with you into what God is preparing. Some connections are tied to who you were, not who you are becoming. When God removes someone and leaves a gap, resist the urge to rush and fill it with just anyone. An empty seat is not always a tragedy. Sometimes it is a reservation for someone God has not introduced you to yet. Number 3, you have prayed, you have worked, you have done everything right, and still the door will not open. You push, and it stays shut. You strategize, and it falls apart. And you start to wonder if God is even paying attention. But consider this carefully. Sometimes the failure of your plan is the mercy of God. Proverbs 16:9 says, "In their hearts humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps." There are things we chase with everything we have, convinced they are the answer. When God can see, they would have become a burden we could not carry. Remember Paul in Acts 16? He tried to preach in Asia, and Scripture says the Spirit of Jesus would not allow him. He tried another direction, and again, he was stopped. From the outside, it looked like failure after failure, but those closed doors were steering him toward Macedonia. What felt like obstruction was actually direction. When your plans keep collapsing, do not only ask why it is not working, ask where God might be redirecting you instead. Number 4, you feel a deep hunger that nothing around you can satisfy. There comes a season where a holy dissatisfaction settles over you. You have things that should make you content. You are not depressed. You are not ungrateful. You just sense that there is more, and you cannot shake it. That hunger is not a malfunction. It is often a signal. In Psalm 42, the writer says, "As the deer pants for streams of water, so my soul pants for you, my God." God sometimes creates a hunger in us that only He can fill. He stirs the appetite before He serves the meal. If everything in your life felt perfectly satisfying, you would never reach for more. That restlessness you feel might be God expanding your capacity, making you hungry for the very thing He is preparing to give. Number 5. You are being asked to wait longer than feels reasonable. This might be the hardest sign to accept, because waiting feels like nothing is happening. But in God's economy, waiting is rarely wasted. Look at David. He was anointed king as a young man, but he did not sit on the throne for years afterward. If he tended sheep, he served in Saul's court. He ran for his life through the wilderness. The crown was promised, but the waiting shaped the man who would eventually wear it. If David had become king the day he was anointed, he would not have been the same king. The delay was not a denial. It was development. The same is true for you. Ecclesiastes 3:1 tells us there is a season for everything. When the wait feels unbearable, remember that God is not only preparing the gift for you, He is preparing you for the gift. What you receive before you are ready to hold it, you often lose. What you receive in God's timing comes with the strength to sustain it. Number 6. Old wounds you thought were buried are rising to the... Sometimes, right before a new season, God begins to deal with your past. Memories resurface. Old pain that you thought you had moved on from suddenly demands your attention. And it can feel like you are going backward. But God does not dig up the past to torment you. He surfaces it to heal it, because you cannot carry certain wounds. In Psalm 147, Scripture says, He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. Healing sometimes requires opening what was never fully closed. If God is bringing old hurts back to the surface, He is not punishing you, He is preparing you. He is clearing out the infection before He gives you something worth protecting. Let Him finish the work. Do not rebury what He is trying to heal. Number 7. You have an unexplainable peace in the middle of uncertainty. When God is truly making room for something only He can give, He often gives you a peace that makes no sense. Nothing is settled. Nothing is guaranteed on paper. And yet, deep down, you are calm. Paul described this in Philippians 4:7 as the peace of God which transcends all understanding. It is a peace you cannot manufacture and cannot explain because it is not based on your circumstances. It is based on His presence. When you can stand in the middle of an unfinished story and still feel steady, that steadiness is not denial. It is a gift. It is God's own reassurance that He is holding what you cannot see. If you feel that quiet confidence even now, even in the uncertainty, pay attention to it. It may be the clearest sign of all that God is at work. So, let us bring this together. If your grip is loosening on old things, if people have left an empty space, if your plans keep failing, if you feel a hunger nothing satisfies, if you are being asked to wait, you are not falling apart. You are being prepared. God rarely makes room quietly and comfortably. He makes room by clearing, by emptying, by pruning, and by waiting. And every empty space in your life right now is not evidence that God has forgotten you. It may be the very proof that He is making room for what only He can give. So do not rush to fill what God is intentionally keeping open. Do not panic in the wilderness where He is already making a way. That trust the emptiness. Trust the timing. Trust the God who never subtracts from your life without a purpose. If this spoke to you today, share it with someone who is walking through an empty season and needs to know God has not forgotten. And write in the comments, God is making room in my life, and subscribe to keep growing in biblical wisdom. And remember this, What God is preparing for you is always worth the room